Good morning. Happy Monday. Very early. Very early. Should be somewhat maybe 7 o'clock or so on the East Coast. It's 4:55 a.m. here, and I felt impressed to go live this morning. Got to the gym around 3ish, 3:30ish. I'm not sure exactly, but moved everything up, which means I had to be up and out the bed 2:30, 2:45 ish. It's something about uh, watching Mayweather work that for a short period of time always has an influence on me. Um, Watching Creed makes you want to become a boxer. Watching Mayweather go in on these youngins, um, it has an impression on me every time. And I want to touch on it briefly, just kind of like my reaction to him fighting Logan Paul. First of all, I'm not sure what qualifies you to get a nickname in boxing, but I felt that it was just disrespectful. Logan Paul has a nickname already, which again, it's not up to me, but I thought that was interesting. Um, and I mean, honestly, anybody who can hold their own that long and doesn't, meet their maker is always impressive. Shout out to Logan Paul on being able to go out there and pass out a little bit of work to Mayweather. I mean, the man is untouchable. The man is absolutely untouchable. Um, when you define what it means to be a professional in your given field, Mayweather is one of the first names that comes to mind. A professional record of 50-0, despite all the antics surrounding it, despite his reputation and you know the way he moves through certain spaces, you cannot help but appreciate the professional, the professional he is. Um, and you see it especially when he goes against amateurs. Especially when we watch the first couple fights, and you see how the first couple fights are just kind of sloppy, and the footwork was hit and miss, and they're really just kind of just throwing gloves everywhere, not really hitting, not really landing much. Accuracy was trash. But then you see a professional go against someone who's just kind of entering the sport, whether it be a hobby or just something that they're kind of currently embarking on. You can see clearly how Mayweather is a professional. You see the same thing in the NBA. It's something that I always think about as far as occasionally I'll be in the gym hooping, and you'll have one person that just kind of stands out, and like they start giving you buckets, just giving buckets left and right, and I'm like, all right, this person is different. But then you realize, all right, this person's at an Air Force gym, and then there's the NBA players. There's D1, D2, D3, and then there's NBA, and there are hoopers like bucket getters. Went to Kentucky and Duke, and they can't get to the NBA. Like it's crazy. It's crazy to realize that there are some people out here who are like true professionals and still can't perform at the highest level. It's different. It's different. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed watching the fights yesterday. I don't know. I don't know. Last night I wanted to go to the gym, and I'm like, I'm gonna get me a coach, and I'm gonna start boxing, and I'm gonna start doing all. Just seeing, especially watching other people make money. Logan Paul could possibly make up to 10 million. Mayweather got his guaranteed 10 million, and it could possibly make up to 50 million. And then it's different when tomorrow's Monday for me. I'm going to work. They worked yesterday, and in a couple hours or so, they made what I could possibly, potentially, prayerfully, aspirationally make in a lifetime. It puts things into perspective very quickly. Very quickly. Why is this lagging? But yeah, a couple things I want to touch on. The Clippers did not get eliminated. Against my better judgment, interesting. The Clippers did not get eliminated. Still in, survive the series and defeat the Mavericks. Did not expect that. I'm very interested to see what Nick Wright and the various other analysts have to say about it. This morning. Did not expect it, but shout out to the Clippers. They're still team alive in LA. Excuse me, going to the next round. So I'm excited to see how far that goes. It should be interesting. It's very interesting right now in time of sports. I'm just glad to see things back open, seeing people not wearing masks as far as following the guidelines, and because we're now allowed to not wear masks. I'm excited to see kind of normality creep back into our realities. I missed it. I missed it. Seeing, fights seeing people in the crowd and seeing fans. Of course, I'm gonna start looking for some local games around here. I mean, I'm not far from Phoenix, so I might be able to catch a Sun series, or who knows, who knows. But no, I'm excited to see some normality come back to our realities. It's necessary. It's necessary. Topic of today that I wanted to cover, and shout out to Hitchcock in the chat. Shout out from Allison, worst space I've ever been to, and this is my first dude station. Love your stuff, man. Hey, you got this, man. You got this. I was up there for my little short year, and yeah, there are worse places to be at, and there are better places to be at. It's the military. It's the military. I almost got stuck up there for 3 or 4 years, and I would have made the best of it while I was up there. I tried to make the best of it while I was up there for my little short tour at Clear. But yeah, no matter where you're at, you got to make the best of it. There's no alternative. There's no other option. So that's kind of what we signed up for. But yeah, what I want to talk about this morning, something that happened last week on Friday in my squadron. And I'm not going to go into any details as far as specifics, but the topic and like the moral of the story is how to deal with disrespect from your leadership. It's probably one of the most difficult things to handle from a military perspective because of the different dynamics such as positional power and leverage. And how do you address these two things properly? One thing as humans what we have to deal with is our pride. Our pride will constantly be a thing that tends to fluctuate given certain variables in our environment. You have someone who outranks you, who talks down to you, perceivably, because again, a lot of things are just due to our perception, our interpretation, how we interact with the world. We see things, we experience certain things, and we interpret it. And to us, it's 1,000% valid. To us, it's 100% real, and we have no clue that they see it differently, or they think it was justified, or they think it was okay. Which one of them are right? Are you right? Or is the person talking down to you right? Or you're perceiving them as talking down to you. It's a constant issue. And again, the earlier you figure this out in your career, the better. If you don't figure it out early, it's just going to follow you. Because in the military, and honestly, in any environment, you're dealing with archetypes. You're dealing with personality types. It's not so much the specific person. It's a personality type. It's a kind of person who is willing to do so. It has nothing really to do with the individual themselves. But you have to learn, all right, when I encounter a certain problem, I must address it now. I have to figure this out. If you don't figure it out now, it's going to follow you. It will follow you. So in regards to disrespect, I just want to cover a couple things. Number one, especially in regards to something you have to address immediately, wisdom. Wisdom comes first. Wisdom comes first. In this context, I would define wisdom as predicting outcomes. What is the desired end result that you would like to see in your career, in your life, in your everyday life as it relates to showing up to work every day? What is the desired end result that you have for yourself? I always talk about a story. I was at Andrews, and we was hooping. Tempers flare, and I'm talking trash. They talking trash, and a nephew threw an elbow at your boy, caught me right in the head. Nice little elbow. And in the moment, your boy just wanted to respond ASAP. He was deploying in a week, and of course, I was just A1C, just kind of hooping, just floating around a little bit. But it occurred to me, I'm like, bruh, security forces will show up and arrest all individuals involved if I swing back. It has more so to do with the fact that, do I address this disrespect in the way I want to, or do I humble myself? Do I just leave the court? Do I just walk away? Sometimes it will require wisdom will require you to be the bigger person and humble yourself. And a lot of people don't think of humility as humbling yourself or being the bigger person, humbling yourself. But it's necessary. because again, wisdom will preserve you, and that's kind of the point of wisdom, is to get from point A to point B in wholeness, in one piece. Who wants to retire with two stripes? You won't retire with two stripes. Who wants to be in 20 years ascend to possibly a chief, but then lose all this, just lose stripes? You can't keep the stripes you earn. Disrespect will be everywhere. You will never escape it. There will never be a point in your career where you can fully escape another person's disrespect. So it's best that early in your career, day one of basic training, you learn how to properly address disrespect. Sometimes the best response is silence. Silence. Sometimes the best response is no response. Sometimes the best response to a fool, someone who doesn't know they're a fool, is silence. And again, wisdom is meant to preserve you wherever you are. A lot of these principles apply anywhere you're at. Working at McDonald's, Walmart, Air Force, Marines. Sometimes the best response is silence. Sometimes your only response, in order to keep your career, in order to keep your temperature in place, your emotions intact, is silence. No response. Accountability. Accountability. You cannot control anyone else in the military. You cannot control anyone else in the military. You'll be a fool to try. All you can do is control how you respond to the variables around you. Someone comes for your life. How do you respond? Do you respond? Should you respond? When do you respond? The one thing that will keep your career intact is understanding that I must control everything I do, no matter what is going on around me. I had anxiety all weekend thinking about coming back in Monday because of what happened Friday. I've felt this anxiety since I was in Alaska. And honestly, this is one of my first events that I really had to take some time and really just address. Turn my gospel music back on. I'm fasting this morning, get back, make sure I get my proper amount of sleep, getting up at a certain time, going to the gym, stretching, because I understand this is not going to go away. This is not going to go away. And because I addressed it in Alaska, talking to a therapist and addressing my mental health properly, and taking my pills, I got pills in my pocket right now that I got to take. I was supposed to take them before I went live, but realizing a lot of these issues that you experience in the civilian world, they just follow you to the military, because people are people everywhere. But it's different in the military because in the military you have people with rank, and of course you have the equivalent in the civilian world. But there's such a great attention paid to the chain of command that you just can't talk to an E7 just because you're the same age. You can't talk to them the same way you would talk to someone your same rank. And you guys may be in the same place in life, same age, married with children, and they will think that they can still talk down to you because they outrank you. There's positional power and there's leverage. In a lot of cases, when you're first coming to the military, you will not have either. You're coming in with no weapons to utilize. Some battles have no reward, so you'll be a fool to try to go to battle with people with positional power and leverage. How do you deal with that? Wisdom. You outthink them. One thing I enjoy personally is revenge. And of course, long term, you end up building a grave for yourself as well as the other person. Because again, it's not healthy long term to have ongoing battles with everyone you encounter. No, having enemies everywhere, it puts you on guard constantly. You see this in drill rap, you see this in the culture as far as the gang affiliations and what have you, where there's certain cities and certain blocks, and you just constantly looking over your shoulder. You're constantly on guard. You got to hire security, and who wants to live like that? Who wants to constantly be on the run, constantly just peek behind corners and just, that's what happens when you constantly have ops everywhere, especially in your career field and in your office. A lot of people don't realize when you're in the military, you will have to figure it out. You have to. You will have to figure out, all right, how do I get along with this person until one of us gets orders? How do I figure this out? It's on you. Maturity is understanding what you want, but focusing on what you need. pursuing what you need. If I know I got anger issues, go pursue what you need. If you need to humble yourself, pursue what you need over your wants. You might want revenge. You might want to get back at them. You might want to speak your mind. But what do you need? You have a family? It would probably behoove you not to lose your career in a spare of a moment because of your anger. Anger is one of my favorite emotions. I love being angry. I become so productive. My mind, everything clicks. But it's inefficient because it requires so much energy for me to be angry. I lose networking opportunities because of anger, because I can't properly. People don't want to approach me when I'm angry. They don't want to be around someone who's angry. On the basketball court, I run people away because I'm constantly barking at people when I get angry. It's very inefficient, but I get things done when I'm angry. So realizing those things about yourself and self-assessing properly and realizing my end goal is over here. How do I get there from here? What are the flaws? What are my weaknesses that are keeping me from getting there? This is years away. What do I need to do today, tomorrow, next week in order to get from here to there in one piece? I've seen careers go down the drain in a matter of seconds. Reputations go down the drain in a matter of seconds. Rank be reduced in a matter of seconds. That's all it takes. It's all it takes. Burning bridges. You don't realize how small the Air Force is until you start burning bridges. You don't realize who knows who until you start burning bridges. This has to do a lot with leadership and being a low-ranking airman. If you're a leader and you're talking down to your airmen, you're going to realize how much you need them after you burn that bridge. How much leverage they actually have after you burn that bridge. Being an NCO stuck between the two. Again, this happened on Friday. You know, you got a higher ranking individual talking down to a lower ranking individual, and then the lower ranking individual responds with anger, and it kind of just blows up, but I'm stuck in the middle as the NCO. You know, this is not even my troop, but I'm the acting NCO, but you see how I'm stuck in the middle trying to bridge the gap, and I'm trying to just go to wisdom. And so, of course, I get quiet, and I start focusing on how do I bridge this gap? Not with the Band-Aid, but foundationally. What did I do wrong? Accountability. What did I do wrong? Even though I'm not involved, how do I fix this? What is my role in this? And it's not something that you figured out overnight. It's not something I figured out over the weekend. But I always go back to wisdom. I'm like, all right, how do I get from point A to point B? I'm not losing my career over this. These are two grown adults who make their own decisions, who will have to take accountability for their own actions, their own words, their own decisions. But I'm also in this chain of command as well. So I have to do my part. How do I bridge the gap? Which is a lot what I did Friday was documenting. The only reason I wasn't involved in a lot of the foolishness that transpired was because I document. There's not a lot of he said, she said with me. I email, I text, I record phone calls. I document. One thing you realize very quickly when you start involving very polarizing emotions is that it would not get you very far. There's a level of stoicism required to be in the military. There's a level of stoicism required to be in the military. Your emotions will fluctuate constantly. I feel angry. I feel sad. I feel depressed. And of course, emotions are different than feelings, so you will have a ton of feelings. I feel vengeful. You know? How do you fix that? Stoicism, staying grounded. Picture a cow being rained on, staring at a fence, indifferent. Stoicism will save you a lot. Just imagine somebody walking up to you and just slapping you and you don't respond. You just keep going. You keep walking. That's how Mayweather looked like last night. He would get hit and just kept going. The fight before that, Hurd Uh, he took a beating by Arius, but he didn't look phased by it. He was taking a ton of hits, eating them, kept going. That's kind of the mindset you need in the military, as far as no matter what happens to me, I will not respond immediately. I will respond, but not immediately. I will not react. That's kind of the difference. A response usually happens with a little more time in between. Reaction is almost immediately, because you're just kind of, it's too quick. And a lot of careers end because of a reaction instead of a response. You should have responded with wisdom instead of reacting with emotions. Emotions are going to be there. I felt angry on Friday. I felt upset that this is on my plate. Why am I dealing with this? What did I do to deal with this, bro? Like, why can't I just have a normal office where everybody minds their business, does their job? No. I got to deal with it. Got to figure it out. Accountability is probably the biggest piece in all of this. You will be disrespected at some point for a certain amount of time from a certain amount of people, guaranteed in your career. The earlier you figure it out, the better you'll be off. No matter what issue you're dealing with. If you deal with financial issues early in your career, you're going to have to realize, I got to figure this out, because it's not going to go away. Ask for help. I'm in a place in my life where if I don't know something, I'm just going to say I don't know, and I will go ask someone. Why lose sleep? If I'm struggling, I'm going to go tell somebody. I need help. Why struggle alone? Someone has been a staff sergeant before me. Why should I struggle by myself? Someone has gone through this before me. Why should I struggle through this alone? I'm not the first staff sergeant. I'm not going to be the last staff sergeant. People that are watching this, you're going to experience what my airmen experienced this past week. You're going to experience what I experienced last week. You're going to be one day a senior NCO who gets angry and doesn't possibly choose the right words, possibly has an attitude, possibly changes the vibe of the entire squadron. You're going to feel frustrated. You're going to feel like, all right, I'm doing the best I can to lead. I'm doing the best I can with what I have, and I can't get people to get on the same page with me. I'm trying to lead the squadron to a certain place. I'm trying to lead the section to a certain place, and no one is getting on board. No one's following. It gets frustrating. You can document all you want and send all the emails you want and say, have this done by this time, and set all the proper standards with time-based metrics. You can do everything you can by the book, all the philosophical principles, and all right, well, human nature does this, and Parkinson's law, and I'm just going to bring all these things in, and I'm going to apply them in this way, and it still fails. Even leaders get frustrated. Even leaders have emotional issues where we're trying our best to stay grounded. We're trying our best to be stoic and say, all right, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give them another chance. I'm going to give them another chance. All right, I'm gonna give them another chance. Leaders get frustrated too. But the best sign of a great leader, especially one of people, is someone who can control their emotions and realize, all right, I need to try something different. I can't burn this bridge. No matter how much I want to blow the whole bridge up, I can't blow the bridge because I got angry, because I got frustrated. These assignments, no matter where you're stationed at, these assignments, if you burn a bridge, it's going to be a long assignment if you burn a bridge. Especially with someone in your office, your section, someone under you, someone above you, you can't afford it. Even if you're right. That's probably the hardest part, is when you're right and you want to blow the bridge up. Can't do it. Now, if you wanted a certain desired result, especially if you're on the same team, you go in the same direction, you're trying to achieve the same thing. You need each other. You won't get where you're going by yourself. You did not get where you are by yourself. You're going to need people. The military, the success of the U.S. military is built on the backs of people. We can have the best planes, but guess who's flying the plane? Guess who fixes the plane? Can't avoid it. You're going to need people. And if you start burning bridges, you're going to realize how much you need them. It's a marathon. It's a marathon. Um, Obviously, a lot of people just bring up toxic leadership, and we immediately just pause at the fact that, this person is just that they're a bad leader, that they can't do this, or they shouldn't be doing this, or they shouldn't be in position. Don't remove their humanity. Don't remove their humanity. They get frustrated just like we do. There's an issue where it's just a large gap between, and it's part of the reason why I look at the chain of command and like, we need to improve upon this. We need to improve upon this because the communication thing we have to have that. How do I convey a message properly? How do I convey from the lowest end of the chain of command to the highest end? Why can't these two communicate normally like humans? Like we're in Walmart. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I really want to press upon you. You must figure this out early. You must figure this out early. You're going to have disagreements. You're going to have airman to airman conflicts. You're going to have leadership to leadership conflicts, leadership style conflicts. I want to go this way. I want to lead in this direction. I want to try this. I want to implement this. You're going to have people that disagree with you and that try to go the opposite direction. You're going to have people that are trying to coast and say, you know what, well, I'm about to retire, or, I'm not trying to promote. I'm not trying to, improve anything. I'm not trying to rewrite the book on how to run a section. You're going to have disagreements. You're going to have airman issues of, we don't disagree on this, or we beefing over this, or, whatever. If you don't figure it out, it's going to follow you. And that's kind of the moral of the story. If you do not figure out how to deal with people and how to properly communicate with people and how to stay grounded in your emotions and not react and respond in the wrong way in relation to your end result, your desired end result, that issue will follow you your entire career and your life. You will have relationship issues constantly. It's something I have to deal with in my own personal life. Stop ghosting people. It's using my go-to move. I gotta stop doing that. I'm wrong every time I do it. I'm wrong. But because I was about to rationalize it. No, I'm wrong. Every time I do it, I'm wrong. Professionally, I cannot do that. It's a very small world, even smaller Air Force, even smaller base. Can't burn bridges. We must learn to communicate properly. So I hope that helps. I really try to be objective as possible in terms of how to address these issues from both sides, because I don't think a lot of people talk about it. We hear so much talk of toxic leadership, but we don't talk about toxic airmen. We don't talk about toxic airmen for some reason. It's on both sides. At some point, everyone's wrong. At some point, everyone is wrong. It's everyone's fault. If you have a choice in the matter, it's your fault at some point. How is it that we get to make all these choices, and when everything goes right, we get all the glory, all the praise, all the awards? But when things go wrong, we take none of the fault, none of the blame. LeBron gets all the praise when he takes a dusty team to the NBA Finals. When he wins, LeBron is the greatest leader known to mankind. But when he fails in the first round, it's not his fault. He had no help. His team is dusty. You can't have both. You don't get both. That's why he can't be the GOAT. It's unfortunate. I don't make the rules. LeBron can't be the GOAT. Is what it is. So I hope that brings a little bit of perspective on disrespect and emotional reasoning and how to stay grounded. Study some Stoicism. Just kind of, it's not so much that you don't react to anything. It's that you choose your battles wisely. Some battles do not have rewards. Sometimes beefing with the wrong person, it's futile. It's useless. You won, but what did you win? You spoke louder than them. You raised your voice. You threw hands in the office. What did you gain from that? Because most often you will lose when you make the wrong decision. You lose options when you make the wrong decision. And sometimes it takes some people going through something to realize, all right, I was wrong in that. Shouldn't have did that. But I should do it better next time. Try to figure out a better way. But it's best that you seek wisdom first and realize this is my weakness. This is something I struggle with. This is historically something I've always struggled with. I need to look out for this moving forward. Wisdom will preserve you. Realize that. Realize that. So that's the video. And I hope y'all got something from this. Sorry I didn't get to all the questions in the chat, but appreciate y'all watching. Say what's good to your boy. I'll see y'all next video.